And they've been running the city snowplows now for 29 straight hours. Get that. So now you might be asking yourself, well, where's the proof? Here it is. He wasn't selling enough tickets to fill this Crossroads amphitheater. He was planning to come back to this school. Now, keep in mind, he is armed with a .22 caliber gun at this point. Where residents, as you can see, are already putting out their trash bags for tomorrow morning's collection. And I gotta tell you, if you have to mail something, now's a good time to do it because there was not much of a line at all, and you know that is only going to change in the coming days. And after power was restored in Fayette, officials were faced with another issue after the roof on this building collapsed under the pressure of the snow. It costs less than $3 a day to feed an inmate. That's actually less than going to McDonald's and buying 3 cheeseburgers. Well, tough luck. By then, the seller will be long gone. The driver to this Ford Escape actually just showed up seconds ago, so we're going to help her get this car out of here, and we'll see you at 6. If you thought your 5 a.m. wake-up call was rough,
went out about 5 this morning. We kind of woke up around then too because our house is electrically heated.
Meet Tyler Wynn, whose day started earlier than normal, waking up to a lot less heat.
We got some candles on the table and that's about it.
As crews work to restore power in Howard County,
we've had bad storms before, but not affected the whole county like this.
Fayette Police Chief Brian Coonsey focused on the elderly. Out of the 6 nursing homes in Howard County, 2 don't have any backup generator.
If we have to, we'll try to get move patients from one home to another one.
That's where the Fayette Care Center comes in.
We try to accommodate the community as best we can.
Damon Gaines runs maintenance at the nursing home.
Generator becomes very important because if the power goes out, we got to be able to maintain heat.
Before power was restored, he was working to house an additional 21 residents overnight from another nursing home.
They're going to come in, we're going to supply them with beds, cots, we'll feed them, we'll take care of their every need, just like they're our regular residents.
They have power.
Well, our generator keeps our heating system working.
And food.
It operates our kitchen.
And safety.
We have emergency outlets that we can plug oxygen tanks and stuff like that into.
The highly publicized police dog Fano is back with his former handler Rob Sanders tonight. Dan Kennedy tells us a group representing Columbia police officers say this whole episode was a big waste of your money.
Just imagine I have $10,000 worth of property. I sell it to someone for $1, they turn around and sell it for $1 too, and the last owner just gives it back to you. Well, that's exactly what happened with Fano, and that $10,000 was your money. Meet Fano, the famed German Shepherd.
That's a good boy.
Fano is back. He's back at home. I could not be more overjoyed. It is quite frankly a miracle for our family to have him back.
For Sanders, Fano is more than just a pet.
You know, getting my partner back, getting basically a family member back, and it's been very moving.
And for the city of Columbia, he came at a hefty price. Facebook fans of Fano reached out to the city, promising more than $10,000 to buy the dog. That's about how much PoliceOne.com says a trained dog costs. CPD refused, citing liability issues for selling a trained police dog to civilians.
But it almost looks as if it was, punitive on the part of the city that they just didn't want Rob to have that dog.
So Fano spent 17 months living in a Cape Girardeau kennel, costing you nearly $8,000. Sanders hoped for a homecoming.
I just, was crossing my fingers and toes and just kept hoping,
And after a year and a half of separation,
18 months and $18,000 later, he's finally back where he belongs. We're very happy about it. I think everybody is.
The expensive ordeal is over.
It was quite an emotional thing to actually have him here on the place.
A reunion with man's best friend. 13 Columbia Water and Light linemen gave up more than 2 weeks away from home so that strangers strained by Sandy could move back into theirs. It's only the sound of horns, but for family members anxiously awaiting, Daddy? It's signaled a safe return. 13 Columbia linemen working 16-hour days.
It has been a long trip.
Risking their lives in snow and other dangerous conditions to restore power.
Thousands of down trees, down power lines, down broken poles everywhere on the ground. I mean, there was trees laying on cars and houses. And
Andrew Smith says he's never seen anything like it, and it's those struggling strangers that he'll never forget.
They're just like, oh, God, thank you, you're angels from heaven, and you're a godsend, and they're just happy we're there.
We got a lot of great emails and phone calls from people out east that were just so happy to see those red trucks coming down their street.
In dark times,
It means a lot. I'm glad I got to go and experience it.
it's these hometown heroes who shine through.
Would love to do it any day of the week.
Glenn Laverick's entrepreneur career has taken him from England to Canada to right here in Missouri. He has a simple three-word motto: in chaos, profit. But a Target 8 investigation reveals amidst plenty of chaos, Laverick struggles to make a profit. And tonight, he speaks out in an exclusive sit-down interview. Marshall, 2003. British businessman Glenn Laverick and local Marshall resident David Riley had high hopes for this tiny town. The pair began construction on an outdoor music venue at the Saline County Fairgrounds. Laverick and Riley formed a business, Full Circle Leisure LLC, and began contracting local businesses for everything from signage to construction to electricity. And in 2004, the pair's labor came to fruition for the grand opening of the Crossroads Amphitheater.
Unlike anything we were accustomed to, anything we'd ever had here.
City Administrator Connie Latimer was Marshall's mayor at the time and says big crowds for a couple of big-name bands brought big business for Marshall. But suddenly, the fun came to a halt as the pair began canceling concerts. Laverick says the amphitheater was too big for the small town.
They were canceled, I think, largely because there wasn't enough support, from ticket holders, and there just wasn't the density that was hoped for.
Laverick told a local newspaper he wasn't selling enough tickets to fill this Crossroads Amphitheater. The local newspaper also reported those customers would not be receiving a refund on those tickets. But now, here's where things start to get interesting. Laverick sold his interest in the company months before it went belly up, leaving Riley with the debt, filing Chapter 7 bankruptcy in October of 2004, only 11 months after officially registering the company.
I'd done all I could and booked all the shows that I could. There was really nothing else for me to do,
Laverick says his work there was done, but his business partner's work was just beginning. At least 3 Missouri businesses filed suit against Full Circle Leisure, while disgruntled ticket holders filed 81 formal complaints to the Missouri Attorney General's office. Even the mayor says she never got paid back for $1,200 in tickets.
Because there was a lot of businesses that got beat out of a lot of money, and that's not something we can afford here. That smaller businesses, you can't do that.
I poured through 51 pages of bankruptcy claims. Full Circle Leisure owed Bowman Electric $40,000, Marshall Construction $9,500. In advertising alone, it was in debt nearly $75,000 to local papers and radio stations. All told, Full Circle Leisure was more than $830,000 in debt, and Laverick was no longer in town. In fact, he was 1,000 miles away and across the border in Toronto, Canada, the site of his next big project. Laverick began renovating an 85-year-old music hall in 2005, booking a number of shows before his landlord evicted him for owing more than $44,000 in unpaid rent.
And he wanted to, raise the rent by 70% at the end of our 5-year lease. Really, it's a business decision. When we left, that was just the right time to go.
Laverick was on the move again, this time landing his third project in nearby Oshawa, Ontario, where he purchased the Regent Theatre. Laverick sold it at a profit and says it's still holding shows to this day. With that profit, Laverick created Columbia Hospitality Management, LLC, in order to buy the Tiger Hotel from its previous owners.
Get out of Columbia. I don't want them here. I don't want them doing business where my kids live.
Robert Powell is an ex-employee of the Tiger Hotel. Last October, Laverick opened an upscale bar, the V2 nightclub, in the hotel, hiring Powell as doorman. 3 months later, Powell says Laverick promoted him to V2 manager with a $35,000 salary. But in May, hotel management closed V2 and fired Powell.
I couldn't support my family for over 2 months.
Powell says Laverick still owes him back pay, $9,000 to be exact. So he filed suit against Laverick and Columbia Hospitality Management in small claims court. But Powell says because his salary was never negotiated in ink, the court ruled in favor of the Tiger Hotel.
The judge found clearly that Robert Powell didn't have any validity to his claim, and that, we indeed owe him nothing.
Laverick denies promoting Powell to manager, but Powell showed me an app on his iPad that he claims proves he was tracking inventory as a manager.
What do you say? Tiger Hotel alcohol inventory.
Why would I have this?
So you're saying, how could I have this alcohol inventory if I was just the doorman?
If I was just a doorman.
Powell says if he saw Laverick today, he wouldn't ask why. He wouldn't lash out in anger. Instead, he'd offer this advice.
Find another business, man. Find another gig. You haven't even completed, you've never completed anything that you've done in the United States or Canada. Everything you do, you fail.
Laverick says that's not true.
I think at the end of the day, you've only got to look at the past projects that I've done, and they are finished.
Laverick cites the Oshawa, Canada venue as one of his successes, and it is still operating. He also claims the Toronto venue he started is a success, the one he left owing tens of thousands of dollars in unpaid rent. Coming up tonight at 10, I'll tell you how and why the city is helping to fund the hotel's restoration with this owner and his spotty track record.